Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes. Welcome to the weekend.
Here we are, morning.
And week two of the shutdown?
Yeah, it's weird to drive through town
Yeah, it is.
and not see cars.
Oh, I know. You drive on 30, it's
Yeah.
like it's virtually empty.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I swung by Owens yesterday and the parking lot was full and there were quite a few people in there, but the day before was pretty empty. So I don't know, maybe it was shopping day or something.
Toilet paper.
It could be. They might have got a shipment. You know,
Yeah,
everybody
right.
gets on Facebook and posting, "Hey, the toilet!" It's
Yeah,
like
no,
the
it's-
movie The Jerk.
Yeah.
The new phone books are in. The new phone books are in. Although in this case, the toilet paper's in.
Yes.
The toilet paper's in.
Oh,
So.
yeah. That's true, though. It's true. Well, a buddy of mine posted rush hour in New York yesterday,
Yeah.
and there was one car driving by. That's
Yeah.
it. That's
yeah.
it. So, I mean, it really has changed America.
You know what? It does, and I think it shows you how different communities are adapting. You know, to what's going on.
Yeah.
In you know, in our industry, every industry is trying to deal with this in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So, you know, the thing that, you know, I get calls, "Hey, are you guys still working?" Well, yes, we are. You know, Governor Holcomb's executive order, real estate is essential business because we're providing shelter for people.
Yeah.
But I can definitely tell you it's impacted. You know, it's slowed down as far, and probably with good reason. A lot of people are more and more concerned now about going into houses that haven't been, sanitized, or maybe they're afraid they're going to spread something there. And it's not just about us or them. You know, if I may be sick and I'm walking into a house, I could leave my germs. You know, they've proven, you know, with as much as they can, the virus stays live, you know, on solid surfaces for days, a couple of days.
Yeah.
Metal surface, I saw 72 hours. So, you know, people are beginning to adjust and adapt. But I would say that those that still need to move, for whatever reason, they need to move. So they're still out looking. But as an industry, we're adapting. We're doing virtual showings. In fact, there's their Zoom, which I saw an article this week, you know, about hackers jumping in to take over the Zoom app as people are using those. But, you know, we can do Facebook Live as we walk through a house. There are... National Association of Realtors came out with some applications for us to go and do virtual showings for our clients.
Okay.
So, you know, are you going to buy if you haven't been through a house? Well, if you need to decide between house 1, 2, 3, you know, that virtual showing, agents will be willing to go do those things for you, maybe minimize and then say, okay, let's go look at number 1. That's our choice. You know, the decision makers go and look at choice 1.
Yeah, so you're just reducing the amount of actual walking through traffic.
Right, the amount of people going through homes, you know, funny listing activity, it's typical this time of year, you know, we pick up.
Yeah.
You know, March through September is the key, you know.
Right.
Now we're into April.
Yeah.
I did see a study from National Association of Realtors that actually said the year had started well. And they're always a month or so off because they've got to accumulate the data and do that. But home sales were actually up 2.4% nationwide in February, year over year. So we were on the right track.
Yeah.
And then we've been derailed due to, you know, COVID and with good reason. You know, I think we all started, well, at least in my circle of friends, we all, this is just the flu. It's just the flu. You know, it's no worse than the flu. It's no big deal. And obviously we're seeing that it's more than that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we go back in history, H1N1, bird flu, SARS, I mean, they just didn't affect us this way.
Right. We didn't have the whole country shut down.
No.
But, you know, there's a lot of things that folks can do if you're thinking about buying, you know, beyond following the CDC guidelines, the social distancing, us sitting here in the studio, we're about 5.5 feet apart.
Right, yeah.
We're not exactly 6 feet apart,
Yeah.
but, you know, stay away. We're not shaking hands. You know, I've got hand sanitizer in my car. I hand it out to my clients, anything that we're going in to look at. You know, in our office, we are wiping the doors down because we do get people that are still coming in. Not a lot of foot traffic, but we're wiping the doors down in the morning, wiping them in the afternoon, you know, the coffee pot, the refrigerator, you know, just common sense stuff. Where do people touch stuff?
Right.
So we're wiping it down. Now, granted, it's not like we're doing it every hour on the hour, or as a hospital does. We're not to that level, but we're trying to take proactive steps to minimize.
Yeah, we're doing things in the building. I mean, basically twice a day, I go around, I wipe everything down.
Yeah.
So we've got
Yeah.
the Clorox wipes, we've got hand sanitizer
Yeah.
in every room, but we pretty much had hand sanitizer in every
Right.
room. anyway.
Same thing for us. We're not shaking hands.
Right.
I mean, usually I walk in, hey, Woody, how you doing? Shake your hand.
Right.
We're going to have to adapt.
Yeah,
We're not
so
going to be
we're
able to do that.
changing a little bit, but
so we're modifying.
Yeah.
Just think about that if you're a home buyer or seller. Yes, the market is still open. There are options. If you do need to sell, reach out to an agent. They'll be happy to take care of you, on the listing side. If you're a buyer, reach out to an agent. Yes, we are still open for business.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. We're going to talk more about COVID-19 and the effects on the real estate market going on right now. Coming up here next, you're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes, and we're talking about COVID-19 and the effects that it has had on the marketplace here for real estate.
Yeah, it's definitely impacted, as we talked about. So if you're a buyer, seller, just be aware things are probably going to be delayed.
Well, and so that's one thing, is delays.
Yeah.
Is it affecting pricing?
Not yet.
Okay.
Although I can say, I've talked to a couple of people, I'll just wait till prices drop and then I'll buy. So it all goes back to what's your why. Mm-hmm. If you need to move today or if you need to sell today, you're going to list it at a price that you think you need to do, in order to sell it. If you're going to buy, you're going to be looking at homes that make sense for you on the price standpoint. Hasn't impacted pricing, and part of the reason for that is, demand has been good. So we're always going to lag, right? You're going to wait. We don't want to be that first mover. Mm-hmm. Oh, I think the market's going to be terrible. I need to underprice so I can get my house sold. Mm-hmm. I think we still need to be realistic about that. We're going to see a hiccup, and I would imagine, especially if it continues for a longer period of time, I think prices are going to come down if people do need to sell in order to get their home sold.
Okay, so inventory is still tight, though.
Inventory is still tight, because people are not putting homes on because they don't want people traipsing through their house right now.
Yeah.
So, but demand is decreased, mm-hmm. right? And what economics tells us, if demand is lower and supply is stable, well, price will ultimately decrease. Mm-hmm. I mean, that just standard economic practice. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's too early to tell right now how it's going to hit the housing market. There's going to be something. If somebody tells you it's not going to impact, and the example I'm using is, 1/12. So if we're only down for 1 month, 1/12 of the year, mm-hmm. that's better than if we're down for 1/6 of the year or mm-hmm. 2 months. Mm-hmm. The stimulus package that's out and available now, unprecedented.
Oh, yeah.
For, independent contractors, employees, businesses to have access to funds from the federal government, extension of unemployment benefits, the stimulus checks that are going to go out to people. Who knows how those are going to impact the market? I don't know.
That's going to put a lot of cash into a lot of people's hands, and when that happens, they like to spend it. They like to get out there and they like to buy things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those are coming in about a week.
It varies. Probably location-wise, who knows?
Yeah.
It just got passed, but it's amazing when you look at the response that we've had at the federal level and at the state level. Mm-hmm. How quickly people are adapting to this, and along with that, the industry is adapting. Our state association put together an amendment for us to use as agents for existing contracts that we currently have, and any new contracts that we write. It's an addendum that gets attached to it that says, hey, if everybody agrees that there's going to be delays, there's going to be some slowdowns in these things, and we could have shutdown orders, as we do. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, the contract extends automatically as a result of that. Now, most agents are going to do an amendment extending closing anyways, but it's really get out in front of it and tell people, hey, these things may slow down, and that's part of what we're doing here today. Mm-hmm. The government, the county courthouse is operating on a limited manpower. Yeah. So I had a closing this week, and the closing agent told me, the recorder's office is backing up because they're not recording. They've reduced staff. They're not recording documents.
Okay.
So, but they're also protecting us. The title companies have purchased what's called gap insurance to protect you and the title of the property.
Okay.
So when I say industries are adapting, that's all stuff that we wouldn't have done 3 months ago. That they have adapted and recognized the need to do that. As far as closing goes, they're put usually in our county. The buyer goes in, closes. The seller comes in, and the buyer goes out. Seller comes in, and then they bring the groups together. They're closing buyer, seller separately, and offering, if you would like to talk to the seller, feel free. But we're not going to force that. They're disinfecting the closing rooms each time. Pens they're handing you, they're not taking them back. So everybody's adapting their practices to deal with this. The mortgage industry. I read an article this week to where they're lobbying, trying to go to Congress and say, hey, can we possibly give forbearance or deferrals on mortgages? Foreclosures have already shut down.
Yeah.
Right? There are no more foreclosures. That was dictated. There will be no more foreclosures at this point. The auction that was scheduled for sheriff's sale, and that's one of the steps in foreclosure, the foreclosure process, to where the bank actually takes title back to the property. Okay. The March 24th foreclosure auction or sheriff's sale was canceled.
Yeah.
So, essentially that is out of the mix at this point.
Right.
So I guess the reason for all this discussion is industries are adapting, and we as, Americans need to adapt to these conditions. Right. One other thing that I did get from a mortgage broker, and this was interesting to me, we think about how is it impacting us locally, and why is my mortgage slowing down? Well, part of the mortgage process is the lender needs to have access to your tax returns, your prior tax returns.
Oh,
Where do we get those from?
The government.
The IRS.
Yeah.
The IRS is shut down effectively. So they have got a process where the lenders are not able to. She sent me a link, the mortgage broker sent me the link to where she would recommend that we have our clients request copies of their transcripts on their own in advance.
Okay.
So typically it's near the end of the process, saying, hey, let's use those 30 days, because IRS is shut down, but I shouldn't say that, limited operations. So there's going to be time delays and everything. So we all just need to adjust our practices to allow for those delays.
But in the end, we can get the job done.
Yes.
It's just going to take a little bit more time. We've got about 30 seconds. Interest rates.
They're still at 3.5% for a 30-year fix. They're still phenomenal. I saw rates for a 15-year loan below 3%. Lending is tightened up, but they're asking for a few things. Again, another mortgage broker told me they're asking for some things that they haven't been asking for before. They're worried about debt to equity. Employment's going to be the big thing for us going forward.
Because they're still very good, but a lot of people are wanting money right now.
Absolutely. Refis are jumping through the roof.
Through the roof, yeah. Very good. All right, well, thank you for the information. Very good information. Appreciate it. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend and stay healthy.